The Browns need offensive help, and I'm telling you right now, Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam is making it their business to use these to get for Shedeur on the offensive side. They need wide receivers, a left guard, right guard, center, and tackles for Shedeur Sanders, bro, to be successful. I feel like if they can get him those tangibles, they got a very, very high chance of making the playoffs. And I mean not just making the playoffs, making it far in the playoffs, possibly AFC championship type deal. It goes on to say Shedeur Sanders, the final 7 games of the season for the Browns, going 3-4 in those contests. He passed for 1,400 yards and threw for 7 touchdowns. Now, he did have a whopping 10 interceptions, but like I stated, a lot of those interceptions came due to players like Jerry Jeudy, and I ain't gonna name nobody else, bro, that cannot haul the ball in. Now, but one of the problems for Sanders was lack of weapons. Jerry Jeudy was slated to be the team's #1 receiver, but finished the season with just 50 catches for only 602 yards.
One tense clash with Shedeur flipped the whole situation fast for Jerry Jeudy, right as Andrew Berry started making quiet but serious moves. That moment exposed cracks that had been ignored, and now the fallout is only warming up. Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam are clearly thinking long game, and it shows. They know this offense is not where it needs to be, especially if Shedeur is the guy going forward. You cannot keep pinning everything on the quarterback when the pieces around him are clearly busted. Wide receiver is already high on the priority list, and that choice feels obvious. If you are truly locked in on building around a young quarterback, you give him real support, not empty talk. The front office gets that draft picks are not just trade chips, they are insurance for a quarterback's future. This is not random guessing. It is a direct reaction to what went sideways on the field. Let us be honest about that. Shedeur did not just need better wide receivers, he needed a full support system. Guards, tackles, a center, the basic foundation. Football is simple at its core. If your quarterback is running for his life, every snap and throw into guys who cannot close plays, the outcome will be rough. Even with all that chaos, Shedeur still showed flashes that mattered once the blocking improved and the targets actually held up. This roster is no longer built to just slip into the playoffs and hope for luck. They are aiming to compete for real, and that shift is based on logic, not noise. When a quarterback has time to throw, and players who can actually win their roots, everything changes. The Browns see that clearly.
Article from ClevelandBrowns.com has leaked some very, very important information. And I like hearing news like this, man, because this is the type of news that you want to hear. You want to hear big-time players coming and them actually getting more young guys to come in and possibly help the Browns make it over that hump for the 2026 season. It's being reported that the Browns projected to add All-American weapon for Shedeur Sanders. The Cleveland Browns need a makeover on the offensive side of the ball, and the team could opt to use one of its top picks in the NFL draft to give quarterback Shedeur Sanders a new weapon to work with. Guys, if it's to me, I think it's 2 things that the Browns need to desperately.
Which is why movement behind the scenes feels deliberate, not rushed. That brings the spotlight back to Jerry Jeudy, and this is where things get uncomfortable. When tension shows up between a receiver and his quarterback during the season, performance has to silence the drama. That never happened. What showed up instead were missed connections, stalled drives, and visible frustration on the field. Shedeur took the blame publicly, but the film tells a different story. Several interceptions came after routes broke down or passes bounced off hands that should have secured the catch. If you are positioned as the top option in the offense, the standard is higher. That role comes with responsibility, not excuses. Talking back and clashing only works when the production backs it up. In this case, the numbers did the talking and they did not land in Jeudy's favor. Now there is a sense of immediate regret because the organization is clearly moving ahead without waiting. The most important changes are rarely loud. They show up in quiet decisions that signal a new direction, and this feels like one of those turning points. The bigger picture matters more. For once, the Browns appear focused on real upgrades instead of quick fixes. The goal is no longer to patch things together and hope players suddenly improve. Shedeur is not holding this offense back. A young quarterback needs support, not pressure to carry broken systems alone. Looking toward 2026, the plan feels obvious. Add a high-level offensive weapon who can separate, secure the ball, and turn routine throws into momentum. Shedeur already proved he belongs, even when the structure around him was far from stable. The situation around the quarterback has never been clean. Protection broke down too often, and the passing game relied on receivers who did not consistently finish plays. Errors happen in football, but the details matter. When the ball is on target and still ends up incomplete or deflected, that responsibility shifts away from the quarterback. That reality has been a major source of tension inside the offense. The spotlight naturally lands on Jerry Jeudy in moments like this. When you are labeled the top option, reliability is part of the job. Fading out during key stretches puts extra pressure on the quarterback and the entire unit. Adding friction with your quarterback during the season only magnifies the issue when production stays flat. At some point, leadership has to separate reputation from results. If a receiver is not helping steady the quarterback, then he is slowing the offense down. Jeudy has had multiple opportunities to lock in that role, and the return has been underwhelming. Shedeur needs more than streaky effort and flashes. He needs teammates who are dependable, locked in, and growing with him. Consistency matters more than talk. Effort matters more than image. Progress comes from making hard decisions. Often the clearest signals are not emotional or loud, they come straight from the stat sheet. What stands out is how opportunity has exposed the contrast. Younger players have stepped up, executed their assignments, and produced when their number was called. That cannot be ignored. Shedeur needs targets he can trust snap after snap, not big names who fade while a first-year tight end earns confidence and becomes the most reliable option in the offense. That sequence says more than any press conference ever could. It shows the quarterback is processing the field the right way, and it also exposes who is actually putting in the work. Add Luke returning into the mix, and suddenly there is balance again. There is no reason to force low percentage throws outside when the middle of the field is moving the chains. A smart offense is one that gives its quarterback room to operate, not one that asks him to survive chaos. Shedeur's performance is tied directly to protection more than anything else. This is not some advanced concept. Give a quarterback time and he will find answers. Take that time away and even the most talented young players will struggle. That is why the offensive line matters so much. Guards and tackles are not luxury upgrades. They are survival tools. When the pocket holds, Shedeur looks composed and in control. When it collapses, the entire offense plays rushed and tight. So the question is simple. Do you want to actually see what this quarterback can become, or keep guessing every week? How many drives need to be ruined by pressure before the point finally lands? What stands out now is the honesty from the front office. They are not acting like everything is fine. They are openly saying the offense needs work, and they are ready to invest.
Harold Fanikin Jr. Now, Harold Fanikin Jr. proved that he is like that. I think him and Shedeur, with Luke Floria coming back, they can add some big-time key weapons to help flourish that offense, bro. Long as they got offensive tackles and guards to help hold the line steady for Shedeur to find these guys, it's going to be lights-out football for the 2026 season. Now, the first-year tight end caught a team-high 72 passes for 631 yards, bro, and 6 touchdowns. And that's an all-team high. Now, with that being said, he ain't making $17.5 million, bruh. He got way more yards than Jerry Jeudy. Now, the Browns general manager, Andrew Berry, acknowledged that the team will invest in improving the offense as a whole this offseason. He went on to say it's no secret that that's where we're going to invest most of our resources this season, Berry stated. A year ago, we decided to make the pivot that we did. You also realize that you're not going to be able to accomplish anything at once the roster get done. Now, the offensive line, that position group, I do imagine will have a fair amount of turnarounds as we go into the 2026 season.
That mindset matters. You are not fixing everything overnight, but you have to start with the right foundation. If the line gets rebuilt and Shedeur keeps developing chemistry with players who actually produce, there is no reason this offense cannot take a real step forward. There is no reason 2026 cannot be the year it clicks. The bigger question is whether the Browns will finish what they started, and how long a name can stay respected when the production stays light. Eventually, the numbers start asking their own questions. The Jerry Jeudy situation puts a spotlight on a long-running issue in Cleveland. Big money keeps going out, but the return rarely matches the investment. Paying premium contracts does not guarantee production, and expecting results to appear just because the check clears has burned this team more than once. Jeudy is being paid like a top-tier receiver, pulling in over $17 million a year, yet consistency has not followed. That is not bad timing or bad luck, that is underperformance. When a player is supposed to be the primary option and cannot secure routine catches in key moments, the pressure shifts straight to the quarterback. Shedeur can only carry so much when his most expensive target fails to finish plays. The talent is there, and the potential is obvious, but momentum is hard to build when the supporting cast is unreliable. This is not about one rough afternoon, it is about week-to-week dependability, and that has been missing. What makes it worse is that this pattern is familiar. The Deshaun Watson contract is a clear example. Massive money committed, limited flexibility, and now a player the team cannot move without eating a huge financial loss. That cycle slows everything down. When resources are tied up in deals that do not pay off on the field, progress stalls. It is frustrating because responsibility does not fall on players alone. Coaching and management play a role too. Stefanski has been part of shaping this offense for years, and smarter planning should have followed. Better adjustments, better evaluation, and better use of money are all necessary if this team wants to stop repeating the same mistakes. What keeps standing out are the questionable choices about who gets trusted and how these high-priced players are used. When your most expensive wide receiver cannot consistently help his quarterback, it points to deeper problems.
We all know one of the hottest topics that was on the 2025 season was superstar wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, man. Jerry Jeudy got a $40 million deal. He currently make $17.5 million a season, and this young man can't seem to haul in a football and save his life. And what's crazy about it is that the Browns got a history of paying a lot of guys that don't perform to the amount of money they giving them. Now look at Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has got an $80 million deal, and he's sitting on a damn bench. It's so bad that they can't even get rid of him because no one else is going to be willing to pay him that money, and they can't deserve to take that salary hit on the books, dog. Well, it looked like the same scenario could be coming in for superstar wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, like I stated, is scheduled to make all this money for the 2026 season.
That falls on both player evaluation and coaching direction. Meanwhile, Shedeur is being asked to shoulder way too much without steady support around him. The flashes from the young quarterback are real. Even with everything working against him, the upside is obvious. If the Browns actually want to move forward, the blueprint is not complicated. Build around Shedeur. That means receivers who secure the ball, protection that gives him time, and a coaching staff willing to put players in positions that make sense. The gap between Jerry Jeudy's contract and his on-field impact is hard to ignore, and continuing to rely on that mismatch risks stalling the entire offense. This team has leaned on name value for too long instead of demanding results. At some point, hard decisions have to replace comfort. The clock does not stop just because a contract is expensive. Shedeur is still developing, and every season matters. Asking him to elevate an offense weighed down by inconsistent production is not fair or sustainable. The pattern is clear. Poor choices, shaky trust, and expensive commitments that do not deliver are slowing progress. If the Browns want their quarterback to reach his ceiling, smarter moves have to follow. Supporting him properly is not optional. It is the difference between growth and another stalled rebuild. This is where direction really matters. A team either commits to its quarterback or keeps dancing around the issue. Right now, the Browns are sitting in between, and that hesitation costs real progress. Shedeur has shown enough awareness, toughness, and growth to justify a full commitment, but commitment means action, not talk. Building around a quarterback is not about headlines or splashy names. It is about structure, clean pockets, clear reads, targets that do what they are supposed to do on schedule. When those basics are missing, even good quarterbacks start pressing, and that is when mistakes get louder than the reasons behind them. What should concern the Browns is how often Shedeur has had to adjust instead of being supported. Too many plays rely on him fixing things after the snap. That is not development, that is survival. Young quarterbacks do not grow by constantly bailing out broken situations. They grow when the system works with them. This is the moment where smart teams separate themselves from stuck ones. You invest in the line. You prioritize dependable weapons. You stop pretending that reputation equals production. Every season spent waiting is a season taken away from a quarterback window that does not last forever. The league moves fast. If Cleveland wants to keep up, the next steps have to be deliberate and bold. Shedeur has done his part by showing he belongs. Now the organization has to prove it is ready to meet him halfway. This is where the story tightens up. The noise fades, the excuses run out, and what is left is a simple truth. A young quarterback has shown enough to earn belief, but belief without action means nothing. The Browns are standing at a crossroads between committing fully or wasting another window by hesitating. Shedeur has already answered the hardest question. He belongs. He reads the field. He competes, and he keeps pushing, even when the situation around him breaks down. That is not something you gamble with or delay supporting. Quarterback timelines do not wait for contracts to age out or for past mistakes to feel comfortable. What happens next will define this era. Either Cleveland builds a real structure around its quarterback, or it keeps recycling the same problems under different names. The league does not reward patience without purpose. It rewards clarity, accountability, and decisive moves. The money, the roster, the coaching, all of it has to line up now. No more hoping production magically appears. No more leaning on reputation. The numbers already told the story, and the film backed it up. This saga is not about one player or one contract. It is about whether the Browns are finally ready to protect their future instead of patching their past. If you want more real breakdowns like this, the kind that cut through headlines and get to the truth, tap in with Huddle Files. That is where the full picture always lives. And you already know, we'll have every second of it broken down, every twist, every leak, every hidden play behind the headlines. So like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share it out. Stay locked in with Huddle Files, where the real NFL stories live.